I hate management by self-help book. And I say that speaking from experience because I've been in a company where once a week leadership would come in and distribute the latest, greatest book for us to read. And you were never quite sure which direction we were meant to go in. Was it 0 to 1? Was it blitz scaling? Which book was it that we need to follow? But I've always enjoyed reading, and I've always enjoyed trying to learn from the insights that are being shared and saying, well, how do I interpret that to the industry within which I operate? And perhaps the one I've enjoyed the most recently was called The Interaction Field. And genuinely, I wish more people in sports would read this book, because my belief is that we work within an ecosystem. I do not believe that sports, whether that's football, golf, whatever it may be, lives in isolation. As a fan and a rabid consumer of sports, it touches virtually every facet of my life. It impacts what I do at the weekend, what time I spend with who, when, what meals am I going to eat at what time, who am I talking to on social media, which social media do I want to be in? I chose to come off X, and actually it's one of these crazy ones where I'm now out of information in certain sports because it breaks first on X. But it absolutely touches every part of our lives. Whether I'm sat on my PlayStation challenging my son to EAFC, whatever it may be. So we cannot think in isolation. We have to think in terms of, how does sport interact with us and how do we interact with it? And not just from a consumer and fan perspective, but from a sports organization perspective. Because if you don't understand that, how on earth do you think you're going to generate the kind of revenue you need, be that a 6-tier non-league football club or Premier League club challenging at the very top? How are you going to compete and generate the revenues you have to, particularly in light of a world where, let's face it, in Europe at least, media revenues have plateaued at best and dipped at worst. So today, the craze is everywhere I see YouTube and Roblox. That somewhat scares me because I was investing in a YouTube business back in 2014. It was clear that video was the way and YouTube was a winner. And whilst their ecosystem, and they think of it as an ecosystem, has grown, difficult to think why people wouldn't have had a strategy. Roblox, I remember sitting with them in 2018 and trying to figure out how to work with them with an organization like FIFA. So they're the current craze because they have the MAUs, they have the DAUs, they have the youth audience that we're chasing. Just as it used to be the craze to get how many people can get to the highest number of Facebook likes, Instagram followers, whatever it may be. And so we fall in love with a craze. We don't think about an ecosystem. And we chase the next thing. Every conference you go to this year, I would be highly surprised if this year the main conversation wasn't about AI and its implementation. AI, to me, is a perfect utilization of an ecosystem. How do we take big data, the internet, Wi-Fi, 5G, all these different tools, and bring together an answer? So sport should not be thinking again as AI or Roblox as a solution. It is a singular part of a much bigger ecosystem. I also spoke not that long ago with a up-and-coming sport that I find quite exciting. My friend is now the CMO there, and I'm excited about what they're doing, the investment they brought on. And I said to them that, look, it's all very well trying to sell the 90 minutes, the 2 hours of the F1 race, whatever it may be. But again, you've got to remember the interaction field, because that ecosystem is not the 90 minutes or the 2 hours. The ecosystem is when it became apparent, when you wanted to go, who you're going with, who you're talking to, what did you book? Was it a flight? Was it a train? And how does the sporting organization, one, make that journey, all those interactions, as seamless and frictionless as physically possible, so the burden on the consumer and fan is as small as possible, attract as many people, create more demand, but also, speaking frankly, enable the sports organization, rights holder, whoever it may be, to make more money, to put back into the sports, to put back into the organization, to put back to the fans so that we can drive profitable growth. Sport is a business. I love it as an amateur. I love it as a businessman. I love it as a rabid fan. But it's a business. It's where we are, and we have to embrace that. But that doesn't mean we can't make life really, really easy for our fans. And in the end, also benefit from that. There is a win-win, but you have to start thinking about it as an ecosystem.